Okay guys, I'm gonna get the skid or the Mini unloaded today. Went last night / evening and picked up some dirt that was free. So I get a little stockpile. Got a little small load just because I was dragging the Mini too. Pretty good little load on the truck. I've already stockpiled about 3 other loads back there. So gonna get unloaded today here, and actually I'm gonna put some more dirt in the back of the truck and pull it into the shop, and I'm gonna see if there's a way to bend this hitch back up into place. We're gonna give it an attempt, see how it goes. Stay tuned for more. So I put some more dirt in the back of the truck. It's definitely got a pretty good load on it for a 450. It's some pretty heavy clay, and it's kind of wet. So it's definitely, I imagine there's probably every bit of 6, 7, maybe even 8,000 pounds, maybe more. Granted, I just hauled it from outside the wall over there, so it's not a long haul to be overloaded, but I'm going to take this bottle jack. I've got some cribbing down on the floor to try to disperse the load. That's more to protect the concrete than anything. And this turnbuckle with a chain between the rails to try to help put some extra force. And I want to try to pry up and permanently bend this hitch here, and you might be wondering why. And maybe it's just me, it just aggravates me to see that thing bent down like that. You can see the sawmill in the back is pretty level. The hitch is deformed down pretty good. I kind of think part of it was installed that way. And what leads me to think that is because it actually looks like this hitch has been taken off something else and put on. You can actually see this is a V5 hitch with a 10,000 pound weight distributed rating, 1,000 pound tongue weight, and weight carrying 5,500. So that's the original sticker from this thing. It's definitely been modified. I think it has been. You can see the cutting and welding marks here. So I think they actually, this plate and stuff was on a different, probably on a stock frame width truck. They cut it free and moved it over to here for these narrowed, or I think the chassis cab trucks have a little narrower frame rail. That's my guess. They probably had it tilted down because they weren't sure how well this bed would clear the hitch. It actually clears pretty easy where it is. And I don't know if they were trying to set it up to where they could have a trailer attached and sort of jackknife the trailer and still dump or what. But I want to try to bend it up just a little bit. I'm never gonna take it back to level, but I would like to try to get it bent up just a little bit more. And we'll set you up here and see if we can make it move. Okay, let's see what we can get going. I'm gonna put some load on it. Tighten this up. Going the wrong way. I'll actually be looking at the camera to see if that makes any of this stuff move. It definitely has, because it's freed up my jack. Get tight. And I'm really hoping I don't break. This is a big forged hitch. I'm really not too worried about it. pumping, I can hear the suspension unloading. My chances of this thing moving are probably slim to none, but I wanted to give it a try. It also kind of lets me know how much tongue weight this thing can really carry. So, I mean, with this plate on the side here that mounts it being in closer, it really probably ups the rating quite a good bit. Make sure I'm still in the shot here. Yep. We've definitely taken up a lot of the weight. I'm going to jack just a little bit more. Until I come up off the overloads. Because that's about how this truck normally rides. Just off the overloads. I know I pretty well got a lot of the weight on the hitch. Okay, I'm off the front. The rear overload is just slightly touching. Now it's off because I don't hear it squeaking anymore. This went from tight to loose. I'm going to tighten it up a little more before I run out of thread. And see if it'll make it move any. Definitely better. And it's quite the load. I'm gonna pause and come back for a minute. Okay guys, I've pretty well come to the conclusion I don't think you can forcefully bend one of these hitches. Aside from ramming it with a car in an accident or something like that, I don't think you'll see one of these bend. I've got another video out there where I've got the big flat deck trailer hooked up to this, and I run the Mini all the way to the front and measure the deflection from the top of the bed there down to the hitch. Well, down to the tongue of the trailer, which is hooked to the hitch. And it deflected, but it sprang back, and this here has got a lot of deflection in it right now, I'm sure, but I would have to guess I've probably got half the weight of the truck on it, which is, this truck's probably gross vehicle weight. It's about 10,005 with this bed on it, I think, and probably got 8,000 pounds in it right now. So I'm probably at 18, so I probably got close to 8,000 or 9,000 on the hydraulic jack, not counting how tight this chain is. Focus in. I mean, this thing is very tight. So I don't think I'm not gonna jack on that anymore. So I'll set you back up and take all the, I'm gonna take the tension off the chain first. See, that thing is still very tight. I like to put the ratchet on the binder right in the middle and just run it by hand. That goes pretty quick. Now we'll drop the jack and see what we got. I don't think I made any progress at all. Maybe I should have measured it before and after, but just by looking at it, I don't think I affected that hitch one bit at all. So that just goes to show how strong and how much extra capacity these hitches really have in them. And I will say too, since it's a tube out here, you get your load in the middle, and you get your support out here. You can see they've moved that support in some, so that has increased the strength of this hitch, albeit I don't know how much off the top of my head. But it's still basically your normal hitch. So I mean, it shows the kind of strength that these hitches really have in them. I will get on a creeper and roll up and roll underneath. I never heard anything pop, never heard anything creak on this hitch even. It didn't even sound like this hitch was ever taking any loading. All the creaking was the springs of the truck as it was unloading, but I will double check the wells just to make sure there's no cracks or anything. Because you've actually got this thing is welded all down the front side, and this plate's welded all across the top. Fold up my tripod because I'm still on the tripod. You weld all the way across the bottom of the tube here, and there's a plate that runs up the back of the tube. So I mean, there's a lot of weld connection there, so for anybody thinking I might have damaged the hitch doing this, it definitely didn't affect the hitch. So I'll set up outside and show unloading this load of dirt. So this is a flatbed. It does have its perks, it has its aggravations too, because it doesn't have a normal dump gate. I guess I never paid it much attention before, but now I know how the hitch got bent, possibly, or why it's down low. It's because the bed actually does hit it. I'll get you off the tripod. Yep. Contact. It's enough that it's flexed the plate out just a little bit, so there's my answer. Time to reflect a little bit. So I just barely got the hoist down just a little bit, and that was enough to get it off this hitch. So now I've got clearance there where it was tight at the bottom. So I might have to, if I want to bend that hitch up, I'm going to have to clearance that plate some, it looks like. So I see the rhyme or reason now, although from what you just saw in the video before, I'm not going to be able to bend that thing up without cutting it completely free. So I might just leave it as is. Hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, so when I lowered the hoist down, I didn't have to lower the hoist hardly any at all, and it came off this, and now I can feel there's a little bit of a ridge here. And it actually probably didn't hit, because used to we had this hitch flipped upside down, so it actually had, I think it's a 2-inch drop. So now with our new deck over trailer, we needed to flip it and go to a 2-inch raised. It actually works pretty good with our smaller trailer on a 2-inch drop. I towed the smaller trailer that I unhooked earlier in the video with it on this 2-inch raise. It wasn't bad. It points up a little bit, but it's not too bad. We've considered getting another a higher raised ball, like a 3 or 4-inch, and that will definitely require me to cut this. Just because it'll make our bigger deck over trailer ride a little more level. So we'll end up running this hitch with the smaller trailer, probably flip back over, and then have a different hitch for the bigger trailer. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and clearance that. I thought about leaving it alone, and with this hitch it would probably be okay to do that, but I still don't think this didn't bend this hitch. They actually just set this up this way to clearance this, because it would have really damaged this plate right here if it would have tried to bend that hitch, because that plate's pretty thin, and you can see the amount of force we had on earlier. The one other thing I'll say about this is this is a bed off an F800 or F700. It's off a bed off a much bigger truck. It's got a lot of support in it. It's really sturdy, which I do kind of like, because I was at the site I was getting dirt from. I was in a couple places up close to the truck, even digging close to the tire here. And if the bucket hit the railings and things are so thick, you can't hardly dent them. You can't tear them up with a little small Mini. So it is a very robust setup, a little heavy, and it does stick out a little bit further than I would like. It doesn't show good in the viewfinder. I think it'll show good on camera, but where the pivot pin is to the back, I would actually like to see this bed struck off right here at the back of the pivot pin. And I've considered doing it, basically. That might be a winter project, to where I just cut the bed right here behind this mount and shorten the whole thing up, and then reattach all these lights a little further forward. So we'll see how it goes. I've got a plate of projects to do this winter. That's not something that's really pressing right now on my plate. My big projects lined up is I've got to complete this tractor. It runs great. I drove it around the yard. The only aggravation is the clutch will not disengage. And I think I found out why it got parked and why it got sat for so long. Is you can see here, they had the clutch adjusted as far as it would go anyway. And it will not it actually, the pivot bearing and the pilot bearing and everything moves fairly freely. So I was able to put a camera down in there and look. So I'm gonna have to split this. So this is gonna be the first tractor I ever rebuilt an injection pump on, and the first tractor I've ever split. So I'll probably wait on that a little bit. I want to get my shop cleaned up. This isn't a pressing, this is just a flip to make money on, so it's not, I don't have much in it, so I'm not really, I don't have to have that money back at this point in time because I got it so cheap because it didn't run. I want to get this going. I'm probably going to get out here today and just try to clean the shop up and get ready, maybe even get back to assembling some of the short block on this, and if I do, I'll definitely get some video of that. Right now I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to raise the bed as high as I can in here, grease the bed, and probably put some, I had a hard time getting the decals off this truck, so I'm going to put some, I got some Goo Gone and see if that'll get some of this adhesive off. Otherwise it's just a major pain. The other side came off a little better. I'm going to try to Goo Gone that number 8. Because this truck here is really my number 1, no pun intended. I'll probably Goo Gone this side here as well. So we'll see if that'll work to take off or at least soften up this adhesive. It's cold outside, the truck's cold right now from being outside. So got the heater running, I'm gonna let it sit in here and warm up, clean up a little bit and throw some Goo Gone on it, and we'll see how that works. Catch back up with you in a minute.